Stefon Diggs is no longer a Buffalo Bill. He's going to join former 49ers defensive coordinator DeMeco Ryans in Houston.
Cool. Good move for DeMeco Ryans and Stefon Diggs. It's his third team. And what the Texans gave up a second-round pick next year, which is not a ton. And they had to give up a fifth, I believe, this year or something.
Yeah, that's the crazy part about all of this to me is the compensation. They couldn't even get a first-round pick for Stefon Diggs. It's a second-round pick in 2025 that actually technically belonged to the Minnesota Vikings. And Houston gets Diggs, a sixth pick this year, and a 2025 fifth-round pick, which I thought honestly was, I mean, if you're Houston, how do you not do that deal?
Absolutely. So, but at the same time, Diggs is 30, and investing in wide receivers after 30 is an adventure. They usually fall off a cliff right at that age. So I'm not saying he will, but I'm not saying that this is Brandon Aiyuk's value. If we're trying to spin this from a Niner perspective, what does this mean about Aiyuk's trade value? It's probably not. I don't know if it's a first round pick this year, but it's not a second round pick next year. It might be somewhere in between. He's 4 years younger.
So he's 4 years younger. Diggs obviously is older, but he is more accomplished. He has 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons.
True.
Aiyuk only has 2, so there's that trade-off. But that was my first thought was if the Bills can't get a first-round pick for Stefon Diggs, are we sure that the Niners can get a first for Brandon Aiyuk? Because maybe they can't. And if they can't, Grant, there's no way they trade him.
Now, let's step back for a second. You're getting excited. Let's slow down. Diggs is not at the height of his trade value right now. He was 4 years ago, right? When he was traded when he was about 26 years old, and he was traded from the Vikings to the Bills, and he did get a first round pick at that point. A late first, not even that late, like 23 or something like that. To me, that's where Aiyuk is. Aiyuk's trade value is at the highest it's ever been, and maybe ever will be, because in a month or 2 or 3, he's going to get a huge freaking contract. And then it's going to be a lot more difficult to move him after that because you're trading him and the contract. So, there is some correlation here, but I still think it's more about what Diggs got 4 years ago.
Now, the biggest difference between Diggs and Aiyuk is, of course, Diggs is under contract. He's getting, what he's getting. So you're not going to have to give him a new deal. Aiyuk, you have to trade for and give a new deal, which usually means you give up less in the trade. That's just sort of how these things work. Teams aren't willing to give up a whole bunch in compensation and then have to pay a whole bunch of money. That's the other difference.
Depending on how they feel about, the players at that position in the draft and where they're at with their quarterback and their window or whatever. Look, I still think that Brandon Aiyuk is a great player. I think he's approaching his best years. I don't even think he's shown his best yet. The next 4 years will probably be the best years of his career. And I think he's worth a lot. Is he worth a first-round pick this year? Maybe a late one. He was a late first-round pick. And if not, he's probably worth at least a second-round pick this year, a second plus. I think he's better than Stefon Diggs and significantly younger. But this does kind of make you raise your eyebrows like, I don't know. Like the Jaguars weren't willing to trade their first-round pick for Brandon Aiyuk. So what is the value really?
JC says Diggs has that T.O. Moss reputation, which is true. He's kind of a diva a little bit.
Is Aiyuk?
No, I think Aiyuk doesn't have that reputation at all. That's what I was going to say.
But he hasn't gotten paid yet. He's got. I'm nothing against him, but he wants his targets. He wants his money. I mean, I'm just saying we don't really know who Brandon Aiyuk. You don't really know who these players are until they're highly paid. Then they reveal themselves. Pause.
Well, I mean, what wide receiver doesn't want targets and money? That would be my response.
I mean, Brandon Aiyuk look at his body language when he doesn't get the ball. He slumps his shoulders. I mean, I'm just saying that Brandon Aiyuk isn't necessarily as, aw shucks, I'm out here for the team as people might think. It's just fine. He's a wide receiver and a very, very, very good one. A great one.
Brad Reeves asked an interesting question. What does the Diggs trade mean for Aiyuk's potential trade value? I'm on the side of keeping Aiyuk if we were offered the same deal Diggs went for. Would you take that deal for Brandon Aiyuk that the Bills?
No, absolutely not. And again, I'm trying to say I don't think that. I think there's a big difference between them. Yeah. Go back and look at what Diggs was traded for 4 years ago when he was Aiyuk's age now. He did get a first round pick in return, and the Vikings used it on Justin Jefferson.
Surprise. I mean, the Bills have lost a ton of people this offseason. Meanwhile, our boy D'Amico Ryans, hell, he's going to be in the AFC Championship game next year.
Well, we'll see. He's got one hell of a quarterback, and now he's got some really good wide receivers. That team's looking pretty good. Looking pretty good.
Good. Can somebody beat the Chiefs so that the 49ers don't have to play the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, please? Can we do that? Smack Jones, thank you for the super chat, says, first round, draft a tight end, Sander or Bowers if around. Draft up to steal a top 8 offensive tackle. In my opinion, Guyton, Morgan, Barton, or Suamatia. Then draft Wilson from Michigan. Well, there's no way the 49ers are getting Brock Bowers. Like, that is not happening. The Niners are at 31. Am I crazy?
No, they're not going to get him. But he's saying trade up, I think. Draft up to steal top 8 OT.
So if you're going up to get the tackle, then how are you getting Bauer? Like, I don't understand this question.
We'll see. Maybe he'll clarify it in the comments.
Yeah.
I'll be looking.
Smack, clarify it. I'd love to answer your question. I just don't.
You don't have to super chat it. We'll just put it on the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Diggs doesn't block. There's a comment from YouTube from Fire Chief.
Okay.
You don't pay wide receivers for their blocking.
Okay. Like, who cares? That's the Texans' problem.
Yeah.
And they like them.
So the deal made me think that, damn, I feel less like Brandon Aiyuk is going to get traded this offseason than I did before the deal happened.
I don't feel that way.